Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a super exciting video. This is another series of my top 5 favorite products, and I'm doing my top 5 favorite concealers. So if you know me and you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I love concealers. There's always at least one in a favorites video. So I'm super excited to share with you guys my top 5 favorite concealers of all time, drugstore and high-end. So I kind of just mixed all of my favorites together. I didn't separate drugstore or high-end. These are my top 5 favorite concealers, and let's get right into it. So in no particular order, I'm going to start with the first ones being the ColourPop No Filter Concealers. These have been my ride or die concealers for a while now. Ever since I got them, I was just obsessed with them. I love the coverage, I love the wearability. I just think that they're super amazing. They're blendable, they're pigmented, they stay on all day. There's minimal creasing and they're just amazing. These concealers are very multi-purpose. They come in so many shades, so you will definitely not have trouble finding a shade that will match you, which is super important. And they're just really nice. I love using them under my eyes, especially because they're really blendable. They're a full coverage concealer, but they do not feel heavy. They're not like cakey under the eyes. The formula is like almost liquidy, but it's not too liquidy and it's not too thick, so it's not like moussey. It's just a really beautiful consistency. It stays on all day. I really don't find any problems with this concealer. It's amazing also for doing a cut crease. I really love to carve out the crease with these concealers because they're super pigmented and they're also more loose of a texture, so it's really easy to get a nice clean line, which is super important when you're doing a cut crease. And they also have this white shade in the mix, which is amazing for doing cut creases and also just for adding a little bit of lightness to any concealer. This is great. I love that they have a white shade in the range. I just find these concealers to be amazing, and they're like $8 American, which is super affordable, and they're just an amazing concealer, guys. I can't say enough good things about the ColourPop concealers. That's why they definitely had to be in my top 5 favorites. The next concealer to make my list is this oldie but goodie. It used to be talked about more in the past, and I believe that a lot of people have actually probably forgotten about how good it is, because I really don't see many people use it or talk about it much anymore. But this is definitely one of my top 5 favorite concealers. It is the M.A.C Cosmetics Pro Longwear Concealer. This concealer is just so good. It's just really pigmented, it's creamy, it's blendable. So this concealer is definitely a little bit more coverage than the ColourPop concealer. It has almost the same kind of consistency, but it is a little bit thicker. It comes out in a pump like this, which I'm not too crazy about. This is the one thing that I wish I could change, because I don't know why, using the pump just seems like a little bit of an extra step. I prefer the concealers with a doe foot applicator because it's just a little bit quicker to use, but that's not a problem because I don't really mind using the pump too much. It is a little bit of an inconvenience, but I mean the product itself is amazing, so I cannot complain about that. These also come in quite a few shades. It's super blendable. I don't really find that it settles in my crease too much. I always end up setting my concealer anyways, but it's really nice for under the eyes and also for spot concealing the face because it's super creamy. It kind of settles into a nice satin finish, so that's really nice, and it's just very pigmented. I feel like when I use this concealer, my under eyes just look flawless, and I always just notice a difference when I use this concealer. I'm just like, oh my god, why aren't I using it all the time? Because it's just really beautiful and it really gives you that flawless look. So I really like using this concealer if I have a night out or I'm going to an event, because I know that this will give me that flawless look that I love. So this M.A.C Pro Longwear Concealer is a definite must. Okay guys, the next concealer is one that I'm sure many of you have heard about quite a bit, because this concealer has been all of the rage for quite a while now, and of course I just had to mention it because it really does live up to the hype, guys. This is the Tarte Cosmetics Shape Tape Concealer. This has just been one of those concealers that as soon as it hit the market, people were just going crazy about it, and for good reason, because it's a really good concealer. You get a lot of product in this tub as well, and it has a nice big doe foot applicator. So this is one of the first brands to really have a more giant doe foot applicator, which makes it really easy and quick to just place the concealer, especially under the eyes, because it just gets a lot of coverage done in a short amount of time. So that was really nice. So it is a little bit thicker than all of the other concealers. that I talked about previously. It has more of a moussey texture. It's not as watery, so it has a little bit more of a thicker moussey texture, but it's not too thick, but it definitely is a little bit more, you can say, drier than the other concealers. It's super pigmented, and there's also a lot of shades in their range, which is really nice. If I could change one thing, I just wish it didn't have too much of that strong perfume scent, because it's not really needed. I mean, I don't really like scents in my cosmetics, and I know that a lot of companies do add that scent in. I just noticed that this one has a lot of perfume in it, so if you're sensitive to that and if you don't really like that, then definitely keep that in mind. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me, of course not, because it is in my top 5 favorite concealers, but I do wish that they would just take it easy on the scent, because you don't really need your face to smell like perfume, or especially your under eyes. So that's definitely one thing I wish that they didn't add so much of. But other than that, guys, this concealer just really does have it all. It's super creamy, it's super high coverage, but it doesn't look heavy or cakey. It doesn't settle too much in the fine lines. So if you've been thinking about it and you really want to know if it is worth the hype, then definitely get your hands on this Tarte Shape Tape, because you will not regret it. It's just an amazing concealer. So the next concealer that I'm going to be talking to you guys about is actually one that I discovered this year, and it has quickly become my ultimate favorite concealer, especially in the drugstore realm. This is the e.l.f. Cosmetics 16 Hour Camo Concealer. This is literally, guys, such an amazing concealer. I was actually shocked when I used it, because I really wasn't expecting that much from this concealer. I mean, I know e.l.f. does have a lot of great products for a fraction of the price, so I figured, okay, maybe this concealer will just be like one of those concealers I'll use once in a while, but I've honestly been reaching for this almost every day, and I do have a lot of concealers in my collection, so that really does say a lot, because this one is just so good, guys. The only thing is that it does really dry quickly, so if you have dry under eyes, I would just keep that in mind, because it can be a bit on the drier side once it settles. But I really find this concealer to be amazing, and it reminds me of more of the consistency of the Tarte Shape Tape. It has that nice big doe foot applicator. It's super pigmented. It really does last on your under eyes all day and gives you that flawless finish. It is definitely one of the most matte concealers in my concealer collection, and I really do love it, but definitely keep that in mind. It's amazing also for spot concealing, because it's such full coverage. It dries really nicely, so you don't have to worry about concealer like sliding off your face. I really love also using it under my eyes. I find that when I use this concealer, since it does dry really quickly and it is more on the drier side, I don't really have to use that much setting powder or any at all, because it does really settle really nicely, and it just gives you that beautiful, flawless look. I definitely recommend using this with a damp beauty blender, because of the fact that it does dry so quickly. That damp beauty blender will just make everything blend out really nicely and flawlessly, so definitely recommend that if you are using this e.l.f. concealer. So I do really love this concealer. I can't wait for them to actually add more shades to their range, and if you guys don't already have this concealer, don't sleep on it. It's so amazing, and it's definitely like my everyday concealer now, because it's just so good, and I find that I'm always just reaching for it. So love, love, love this concealer. And the last concealer in my top 5 favorite concealers is also quite a new one I discovered this year, but it also has quickly become one of my favorite concealers. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. So this concealer is the really big one from Too Faced. It's honestly so amazing. I specifically love this shade called Almond. It is more on the high-end side, because you can buy it at Sephora, but considering it's high-end, you get like a lot of product for not that expensive of a price. So it's actually really good considering it's like a high-end concealer. It's also made in Italy, which is really nice. And I noticed that they also did add some more shades in their collection, which is nice to see brands expanding their shade range. That's always a plus. I also love this concealer because it does have a nice doe foot applicator. The consistency is also like the Shape Tape one. I believe that it doesn't dry as matte as the Shape Tape or the e.l.f. one. This one is a bit more on the creamy side. It doesn't dry as matte as the Shape Tape or the e.l.f. one. So if you're looking for something a little bit more creamy and less drying, then you'll love this one, definitely. So I'm not sure if the coverage is as much as the Tarte Shape Tape one, but I do believe that it's pretty close. It might be a little bit less full coverage than that one, but it's honestly really nice, guys. For me, I find that it gives a really nice amount of coverage, and it's just overall just a really beautiful concealer. It just really makes your face look flawless, and I really can't say enough good things about it. It's definitely one of my new favorites, and I love it. That's why it's in my top 5 favorites, and I really can't live without this in my collection. So there it is, guys, my top 5 favorite concealers. I hope that you guys liked my list, and maybe you haven't tried out some of the concealers I mentioned, and now that you might have your eye on them, I would love to know what you think. And if you do end up trying any of the ones I mentioned out, or if you already do love them already, please let me know in the comments. Also, guys, I would love to know what some of your favorite concealers are, because I'm always looking to try new concealers. They're one of my favorite things to buy. I just can't get enough of concealers. So if you guys have favorite high-end or favorite drugstore, please, guys, let me know in the comment section down below. And thank you again so much for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!